Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode uno of the Ringside Ramble podcast. My name is Derek,
And my name is Cole.
and we are coming to you today to talk about some wrestling. So, basically, I've been branching more and more and more to talking about wrestling on my channel. And it's not that I don't want to talk about it. It's just I never really have. And I wasn't sure like if there would be good viewership, if people would care, but I started more and more. You guys seem to like it. And I thought, hey, let's talk about it. Might as well. There's so many great ones out there. We'll talk about Jim Cornette later. Um, but I basically just wanted to start this because I think to me, talking about wrestling, even if you don't enjoy it, I think it's something I've just done my whole life. So wanted to keep that going. So I personally, my favorite time period of wrestling, WWF at the time, is like the early 2000s, the late 90s. That's my favorite time period. I was born in '02, so I wasn't alive during that time. But now getting a chance to actually go back and look at it, that is my favorite era of wrestling. What's yours?
Somebody, I was born a little bit earlier back in 1999, so I get to enjoy a little bit of the 90s. I kind of like to lean towards more of the old school Jim Crockett Promotions type wrestling, Mid South wrestling under Bill Watts. But also, I don't also enjoy also the Attitude Era as well. Steve Austin, especially Stone Cold out of South Texas. Me being a South Texan myself, just fits in perfectly for me.
Yeah, so we're both guys who I think it's fair to say enjoy the older style of professional wrestling more. And unfortunately, today's era, not as much, but hopefully, hopefully someday we'll get that great wrestling back again. So
Mhm.
anyway, last night's Raw sucked. I did not watch it. Neither did Cole and us talking before. But
The
um
headache.
yeah, I figured we'd do a quick rundown. We're probably not gonna do like a rundown show. Like there's some podcasts that just break down every segment. We're not gonna do that. We'll just talk about general things, the big things that happen. So on Raw last night, apparently they decided to break up the Hurt Business, which Bobby Lashley and MVP are basically like the new Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman is what they're kind of
Mm-hmm.
going for. But they put two other guys, Shelton Benjamin, who's an incredible worker. I think his whole career, I think he's been very underrated, doesn't get the appreciation he deserves. And then I guess you could say newer guy, more of a cruiserweight, and Cedric Alexander. This was the hottest thing going. This is why a lot of people said, I'm going to tune into Raw to see what this group does, what this faction does. They haven't had that in a long time in WWE. They choose to break them up. Can you explain to me what their thinking is here with 2 weeks left till WrestleMania? Why would they break up their hottest thing going right now?
I, I couldn't tell you. I mean, you gotta understand what's going on up in Stamford, Connecticut these days. With the thing about what's going on these days with WWE wrestling is that you got a lot of these corporate people that know absolutely nothing about wrestling. They're just putting stuff on paper and letting it go. And Vince, who knows? I mean, it's just chaos within the WWE roster. I mean, it's always something different, changing somebody, doing something. It's just pure chaos, and we don't even know what's going on. I mean, you never know because Vince's mind, you can hear the marbles rattling. They're everywhere. So who knows?
Do you think because I heard I don't know what your opinions are on him, but Ryback obviously used to wrestle in the WWE, obviously roasted by many people, but one thing he said that seems to be real and not just hey, I hate WWE because they fire or because I left, whatever. He said
Mhm.
that Triple H, Paul Levesque, allegedly, according to him, told him that the last superstar that will ever be in WWE will be John Cena. And it seems like they are afraid to allow guys to be new stars. Bobby Lashley
Mhm.
is, I mean, he's getting up there in age. You couldn't tell. I mean, if you looked at him,
Mhm.
he looks fantastic. He looks the best of
Mhm.
his career. But they have the hottest thing going right now. Raw's ratings are way down just from even last year. Why it just doesn't make sense to me. With 2 weeks left, you're going to break up your hottest thing going. What does that do for you heading into WrestleMania? Why not? If you're going to break them up, why not keep your flame going right now into WrestleMania and then have an angle,
Mhm.
have them turn on Bobby if that's what you want. It just doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
It
No, it's just like the thing is that the time it takes to set up these angles, I mean, it takes months, but when you take away, just completely change the whole, image, right, literally 2 3 weeks before WrestleMania, what are you gonna do? There's just no way you can like build an angle into WrestleMania with just 2 weeks. It's like the whole thing when Vince Russo was booking Kane and Undertaker, and they were just like, we're going to choke slam him right through a table next week on Raw after he meets him. It's like, what are you doing? What are you? It makes zero sense. So you completely screw up your WrestleMania card if you since I mean it takes a month to plan out WrestleMania. So it doesn't. It's just there's no consistency within the WWE.
well, and let's look at the WWE Championship. Not this one right here, or this one. Oh, you can't see it. Whatever. Anyway, not these two. Let's talk about what they've done over the last how many weeks. So, I, I mean, Edge wins the Rumble. He's not going for the WWE Championship. So we'll talk
Right.
about that later. So, what you have heading into WrestleMania, you have Drew McIntyre as your champion. He's the guy who's basically your main baby face right now, who everybody kind of universally loves. He beats Brock Lesnar last year at WrestleMania with no crowd, but regardless, everybody was thrilled because,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of the same thing with Lesnar. McIntyre retains in the Elimination Chamber match. Afterwards, here comes Bobby Lashley out, destroys him after the match. Here comes The Miz, cashes in Money in the Bank, wins the WWE Championship. Now, there's a lot of people who were mad at this. I don't know. We'll get
Right.
your take. I loved it. I loved it. Why not? You got a Weasley heel that everybody hates. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not hates like a guy like Baron Corbin now, where people don't want to see him, but people don't want the Miz to be champion. So instead of doing this, the story of, hey, he's going to weasel his way out and then have him lose at the next pay per view, which is no longer just WrestleMania after the Chamber, it's Fastlane. Instead of having him lose at the next pay per view, so it means something, you do this stupid angle on Raw where you have him multiple times defend the championship and get out multiple different ways,
Mm-hmm.
count out, disqualification, whatever. And then you have Bobby win the championship on Raw. 17 years the guy is in the WWE. This guy who is a main, maybe not main character, but he's a star. You can do things with Lashley, and you put it on him on Raw, and this is what you're gonna do. So now Bobby Lashley's gonna face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania, and you have a guy that you can put the strap on and send him to the moon, and Lashley, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna have him drop the title at WrestleMania. They are, and it's sad. It's
Yeah.
it, it just doesn't make sense why. First of all, if you're gonna have him win at a pay per view. It was their first pay per view on Peacock, and we'll talk about that more later. But they just have no direction with this championship. This is the main prize of your company. It just seems like they're throwing things at the wall. Half of the darts are falling off, and the ones that are sticking makes no sense. I, McIntyre's great. He came in to WWE as a small, skinny, tall Scottish wrestler, and now he's a jacked beast. But it doesn't make sense how you have such a great story in your hands and you just drop it for nothing.
Yeah, yeah, they should have pushed the whole Lashley thing at least to SummerSlam, at least give it a couple months rather than just change a creative midway through arranging WrestleMania. This doesn't make any sense. So it's confusing. I mean, and Lashley, I mean, it looks absolutely amazing. He could carry the title, and he's also a good promo. So I don't know why they're just making these little last minute revisions. So
So yeah,
just people are clueless out there.
last night on Raw, they get rid of the best thing they have going, so that's one of many things. Now, Sheamus and Matt Riddle, I don't know. Have you seen this clip going online of Matt Riddle completely butchering his promo and forgetting it?
I haven't seen it yet.
So
So,
I'll send it to you later, but it's hilarious watching it after. I can't imagine watching it live. I'm glad I didn't watch it live, but still, guy is his whole gimmick is essentially he's the stoner surfer, you know, and he looks like it
what?
too. Yeah, he looks like it. Look up
What?
Matt Riddle. Look up Matt Riddle. He looks like it.
I've seen Matt Riddle.
But
I don't know how they make this work.
so anyway, last night on Raw, he's talking to Asuka, and Asuka's obviously this Japanese wrestler. And I got no problem with Japanese wrestling, but do you have to scream in every promo? I mean, it's just and that's a big problem with AEW. But so anyway, last night he's talking, and his whole gimmicks is, he's stoner, forgets half the things. Well, anyway, he forgets his line backstage. And instead of the Jim Ross, hey, we're live, pal, or whatever he said, he just walks off. He's on a scooter and he just leaves. He goes, oh, I forgot what I was gonna say, and leaves.
You must have been smoking some of that Sleepy Joe. Gee, just
Oh my gosh.
you're so high you won't even remember what country you're in. It's ridiculous. He's like just washed out, brain dead, and somehow he doesn't bust his rear end from that skateboard. So magical.
So that was the story of Raw last night. I mean, I thought when he came out of NXT, because the thing is, Triple H does a fantastic job with these young hot shot prospects. When he came up, I mean, there was people talking about him, being in the main championship picture. He's in the ring, great. Outside the ring, horrible. But
work, but can't get a promo.
And I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do with the U.S. title at WrestleMania, because they've been teasing that it's gonna be against Sheamus, but again, like we talked about, these 1 and 2 week builds to your biggest pay-per-view, it doesn't make sense. I wish they would just make it a 6-man ladder match, get your mid-carders on the pay-per-view, let some guys fly around, and it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, little aristocrat match. So
just makes no sense. So anyway, that's another thing from Raw last night. Have you seen this Braun Strowman stuff with the stupid train?
Oh my goodness.
Have you seen this?
Yeah, I've seen it.
It's
and I heard Cornette cussing about it too, just like I was same time.
it's probably the most embarrassing thing about wrestling I've seen in a while.
Yeah. I guess that Amtrak ticket really must have been cheap that night.
Oh my gosh. And somebody, I forget who it was talking. They're directing this whole storyline between Braun and Shane McMahon with kids
Hmm.
because it's the whole bowling thing, but it makes no
Right.
sense. Shane McMahon, now this might be controversial. I really don't
Hmm.
care. I've always loved Shane. I have
Yeah.
always loved Shane. And
Hmm.
honestly, one of my most favorite feuds of all time is the Shane McMahon versus Kane from,
Yes.
the
That would have been about 02, 03. Yeah.
yeah, that was,
Mhm.
and honestly, I think I got that pay-per-view on VHS at a garage sale. It was like, "What is this?" Like, it was
Yeah.
that's one of my favorites.
Mhm.
Shane can work, Shane can work. He can, which a lot of
Mhm.
kids, a lot of these boss kids, a lot of times they're spoiled, they're brats. Shane's at
Yeah.
least tried to work for, what he does,
Mhm.
but this is just bad. It's horrible.
I mean, Shane's probably, he's really the golden child. I mean, well, I know when Vince leaves, he'll probably be the one that takes over. It's either going to be him or Paul Levesque. But it's just like I don't understand why Shane's going along with these, really subpar 2-star gimmicks. Like, what is this nonsense? This is, I mean, you've turned the product into some kind of comedy. Just, I mean, it makes there's no logic behind any of this. It's terrible.
Train noises.
I'd, I'd
2021.
I'd much rather be sitting next to a train track hearing a train blow past me rather than listening to this crap. It's like goodness.
It's embarrassing. And honestly, I think their match at Mania could be good because Shane always seems to work well in the
Mhm.
ring. Because, like, when he
Yeah.
faced The Miz a couple years ago, nobody
Hmm.
cared. I mean, the story going
Yeah.
into it, everybody was like, it's going to be a bad match. And it ended up being one of the best matches on the pay per view. So I have faith that they can do something with this match. It's going to be interesting with the styles, because you have a
Right.
guy who's super big versus a guy like Shane. What do you think about this match? Do you think they can do something?
Uh, if they have more time, like if they'd had a match at SummerSlam, yeah, of course they could have done something really good. I mean, you got time to build an angle, you got time to really, evolve the whole, storyline with it. But within when you're like 2 weeks before WrestleMania, I don't I think a little too soon, too late. Just they
Makes
really they just rushed it. So
it's all the common denominator with this whole thing is there's just no stories anymore. There's no build. There's no logic.
yeah,
It's just
it's just match after match after match. Just random matches. Where's the whole rest of the? It's it's like having a cake with no icing. I mean,
it's ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous and garbage and trash and whatever else you want to say, Bad Bunny. You know,
oh Lord,
I hear that the
yeah.
guy I hear that the guy is nice and he's nice to work with backstage, but this sucks. This is horrible. I never want to see this again. Celebrities in professional wrestling is all right if you
Mhm.
actually have a plan. This is so just, hey, let's have him do this. Let's have him do that. There's nothing here. The Miz just was your main champion, and you have
Mhm.
him in a bunny costume doing some kind of fake rap. This is I don't understand what they're going for here. They keep saying that Bad Bunny is a merch seller and he's selling the highest number of t-shirts. Who likes this? Does anybody like this?
No, I think they do a better job with Bad Bunny if they just strap a bass drum to him and let him beat around like the Energizer Bunny. You know, I mean, it would look so much better rather than just having him cut some bad rap that, you know, I mean, heck, these SoundCloud rappers sound much better than this guy. And somehow he's making money. Like, I'm like, I want to see the metrics. I want to see the metrics of where these, you know, where all this money is coming from that he's apparently making, because there's some sort of disconnect here. It doesn't make any sense, like how he's all of a sudden, you know, the most popular thing in WWE today. I'm sure.
Well, it just seems like what they have, and I think what they're doing, the merch numbers are through the roof with this guy because he's got a lot of fans.
Mhm.
I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know how he has fans. You know, it's just not. I've listened to like 2 of his songs. I just don't
Right.
get it. I mean, there are other artists I don't get that people love, but you know, it's your cup of tea, whatever.
Right.
But I think what they're doing, they're seeing these merch numbers of his fans
Mhm.
buying the stuff. They're not watching the product. They're not sticking around. So you
No.
think just because he's selling t-shirts, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so somehow, you know, somehow he's making all this money, but like when you actually watch him on Raw, there's some there's a disconnect. It doesn't make any sense.
And they should have let the Miz whole. I mean, in 2016, he was at his highest. He was one of the hottest things in professional wrestling. Give him the title. Let him redeem himself from the 11 run they gave him.
Yeah.
Had the horrible main event match at WrestleMania with The Rock, and it wasn't good. It wasn't. But they treat their stars like idiots. Like they think we're dumb. They do. And it's embarrassing
You're not
because
wrong.
there's people who think this is normal. There's people who are growing up right now, you know, when we first started wrestling, there's people right now watching this thinking this is how wrestling's supposed to be.
Right.
And that is just sad.
Mhm.
It's so sad. And it just it's just irritating. It's so frustrating because you have guys who, even if you don't like a guy like The Miz, he can
Mhm.
do something. I mean, he made the
Yeah,
Intercontinental
he could
Championship.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're going to have a match at WrestleMania. It'll probably suck. It'll probably be, you know, your celebrity wins. Nobody's going to enjoy it, but it'll be all over the news. Who cares?
Yeah, but then
I
again,
don't
I mean, you
care.
could be Dave Meltzer, give it 9 stars.
Oh yeah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
they'll do a couple of Young Buck super kicks and
Oh, here we go.
yeah. So anyway, we kind of wrap up here with Raw. Randy Orton, more promos with the Fiend and all this crap. I thought this promo, I did see a little bit of it. I thought it was better than some of his other ones. But I look at Kane and I look at The Undertaker and I look at, you know, a lot of these, if you want to call them supernatural figures, characters. The Fiend to me, before this whole burning thing, was good. I
Mhm.
enjoyed it. But now you have a guy on fire in the middle of the ring, and then he shows up, what, 2 months later? And you went from having a marketable character to now a guy who, I mean, he looks like, what is it, Freddy Krueger, one whose skin's all messed up. It's what he looks like. It makes no sense what they're doing here. I mean,
It's, like I said, Vince's mind, the marbles. He's gone. He's gone. You know, you got Kevin Dunn and Bruce Pritchard. Just, oh yes, Vince, no problem. You can do blow up dolls flying off the ring. Who knows? But like, what is this?
and it was going so good. That's the worst
Mhm.
part. Like this stuff, you can make it work. Like The Undertaker had to change up his character every once in a while,
Mhm.
but
Yeah, I mean, kept it
it
fresh.
it worked. You didn't. He was always marketable. There was always people who liked The Undertaker. Now, WWE, you're trying to say that your target audience is younger people. Explain to me how you're gonna market somebody who's half burnt. Like, I don't know. I don't know. But
Uh,
what
I mean, it seemed like they're trying to market to like kindergartners, when really the people that actually would want to watch the stuff is in the 18 to 30 range, maybe even older. People that want something a little more serious, more gritty, aggressive wrestling. Just something that has a little more. That's not so rated G for everybody. It's not. I mean, wrestling is not designed to be like that.
Mhm. Well, NXT and AEW, that's their target
Mhm.
audience.
Yeah.
And that's what they're pulling in every week. So, I mean, you can make it work. But yeah, we'll talk about our predictions for WrestleMania later, obviously. But Raw sucks. I mean, you can't even debate it. It's horrible. Last night's Raw was, like I said, I didn't watch it, but you can guess how things go. When you see what happened. They just
Yeah.
have no plan. And the
Mm-mm.
report of WrestleMania tickets not selling well, you wonder
Not
why.
shocking.
You wonder
Not
why
shocking. Mhm.
you can't put a card together with 2 weeks to go.
Mm-mm.
It makes no sense.
No,
It
you need at least a month and a half, maybe 2 months to build it at minimum. Uh,
So anyway, let's talk about the hosts of WrestleMania, Mr. Hulk Hogan
uh,
himself and Titus O'Neil. How
just another
obvious
publicity stunt.
exactly? How obvious do you have to be to show, hey, Hulk Hogan's not the guy you think. We still want him to be the legend you know him as.
Mm, yeah, yeah, he's a legend. About maybe 10 years out of his prime. So I think Hulkster is getting a little old, and the 26-inch pythons ain't looking too good now these days. So
They're drooping 26 inches.
exactly.
Uh,
They're really going mural.
yeah. They went from here to, yeah, you're just getting lower and lower. Do you think they're going to put them on camera together?
Oh yeah, they 100%, 100%.
Why why would Titus O'Neil agree to this?
I don't know, but my guess is they probably gave him a big fat payout just to do it. So I mean, it's all about the money. I think that's what it is. I mean, I don't think they really got any chemistry together to just. And not only that, but what I'm trying to figure out is like, are they announcing the thing, or are they going to be like a general manager? Like, what are they doing? That I like. That's what it does. Are they going to be a ring announcer? What is this? So how do you have hosts? Like what are they going to like? It
The
doesn't make
host
sense.
role has been so weird because you've
Hmm.
had Hulk Hogan's hosted before. And you know
Hmm.
what he said?
What do you say?
About a 5-minute segment at the beginning of the show. That's not hosting.
Oh yeah, that's
That's
no.
not
That's
hosting.
just you just cut a little short promo and move on with your day.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do here. But I mean, you
Hmm.
couldn't be more obvious that this is a publicity stunt to say, hey,
Oh yeah,
forget about these things. You know, he's our
yeah,
guy. Forgive him. Which, I mean, whatever. But
yeah. Like he totally didn't use the N word about 5 years ago. So like
which, let's just go straight into it. Peacock, this is the latest controversy that I think, yeah, certain things maybe I get it. Certain things I get it.
mhm.
But they are going complete overboard with this censoring. They've taken it to a next level. I've heard they've had they set up teams at
Hmm.
Peacock to go through and get rid of stuff. I heard
Yeah,
Stone
I mean,
Cold.
it's they're going through and censoring old Jim Crockett Promotions spoken out wrestling stuff. I mean, but what's there to censor? It was already PG to begin with. So well, it's they're just. I mean, and I mean something like that. Eh, something so timeless that's really just absolutely golden, and
Mhm.
they're just going to censor the crap out of it. Like, what is this?
Well, and I think what they're going to have is you're going to see people not signing up because
No,
half of the network
that's right.
subscriptions that were for the WWE network weren't for the current product. It's for the old
No.
stuff. Because instead
Mhm.
of having 500 DVDs sitting over here on your cabinet or your cupboard, you can just click, click, click. There it is. They can't cancel everything. I'm sorry. Why would you why would you pay billions of dollars to get the whole history of the WWE and other promotions just to cancel it? It doesn't make sense.
No. I guess this is where the return of the VHS comes in.
Exactly. Well,
Really.
yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing Cornette said was at least I have all these tapes.
It
But
was all those
it's
tapes, yeah.
they're heading down a bad road. I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin was one of the most polarizing figures in all of professional wrestling and even celebrity. I mean, now he's had how many shows, Broken Skull sessions. He's got all these different things he's doing, and you're just gonna get rid of everything. So what? He threw up two middle fingers and drank beer on TV. Who cares?
That was that was part of his gimmick. That was the
That
whole
was
thing
the
that made
gimmick.
that was what made Stone Cold Steve Austin. I mean, he personified what, I mean, this is standard people in South Texas. He was the personification, and people loved it because he was the anti-authority figure. He just didn't care, and people were just it was just so carefree. That's what it sells. They like people that stand out like that. No, but
Mhm.
now they got to censor everything. You can't censor something like that without completely messing everything else up. It's like starting a domino effect.
And that's what's gonna happen. You're gonna see everything.
Yeah.
Everything. And I mean, like I said, I get it to an extent, but come on. I wonder, do you know, but I don't even know. Do you know by any chance, did they take away the Chris Benoit matches off of the network?
I don't think they have yet, but I think that's coming up pretty quickly.
Because
So
that's one
I
thing.
can see that happening.
Because with obviously what happened is a tragedy. I mean,
Yeah.
clearly. But to me, I think, in my opinion, I think they should still have it up because as a performer, he was
Hmm.
great. There have been
Yeah.
people. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was he I mean, he was an absolute phenomenal worker.
Mhm.
He could go. And he was a good promo too. He could cut a promo. He was just great all around.
But I think with that whole situation, because obviously he'll never be in the Hall of Fame. They've said that.
Mhm.
And after whatever that promo was that Vince gave on Raw, I believe it was, basically saying, "Hey, we learned more. You'll never hear his name again."
Yeah.
He won't. They won't mention him, but I still think they should keep his matches available. Even
Yeah.
if you know, it's one thing to it's complicated because you don't want to keep a image of a murderer, but at the same time, there are people who still enjoy OJ Simpson football highlights.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just a bumpy path. But I don't know. That's something I haven't looked. I don't even know if I still have my network subscription, but I don't know if they took those off of the network or not, or if they ever were on the network. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. But anyway, let's talk about the Hall of Fame. This is quite the cast of
Oh, here
characters
we
here. So,
go.
you want to just jump right into it?
Yeah, no, I mean, let's see. Starting off, we got ATM Eric Bischoff. Yeah, it's interesting how they let Eric Bischoff into the Hall of Fame. I mean, I can see why. It's like you got to have a quota to fill it in. I mean, you just put names in a pot, and Vince just says, "All right, pal, you go right ahead and put them in. Here we go." But I mean, Eric Bischoff was definitely one of the most polarizing you guess you could say promoter. He was executive vice president WCW and kicked Vince all around the ring for 83 weeks. And the only way he did it was he had Ted Turner's checkbook in his pocket. So, and he had people that like to smoke cigars and ride Harleys everywhere. So, and then next thing you know, they bring him into the WWE in 02, and what could have been something like what they were doing with Flair and McMahon with Raw and SmackDown, they ended up making Vince and Bischoff best buddies somehow, and now even though they've been back and forth in WWE since 05, I mean now they basically put Bischoff in as sort of this placeholder within the Hall of Fame. I think, but all things considered, I mean, I think Eric's earned his place in history. So I mean, it wasn't a bad pick.
I think he deserves to be in as a on-air talent, but behind the scenes, I mean, it's not like because they had him in charge of SmackDown there for a while
for 6 weeks.
It didn't last, and there's a reason why it didn't last. It's because as an on-air performer, yeah, he had the personality. He even had a pretty good look for his character. But when it comes to the behind-the-scenes stuff and booking and setting up stuff, it just, to me, I don't think he should be classified as a Hall of Fame booker, as a Hall of Fame character. I agree. Yeah. I agree.
I mean, as a character, I mean, yeah, as an on-screen character, I mean, Eric was amazing. I mean, because who he is in real life was what you saw on television every night of Raw back in the early days. That was Eric Bischoff. Behind the scenes, as a executive or a producer or whatever other job title he held, booker. I mean, Eric was just he didn't know nothing. I mean, it was all over the place, and then all of a sudden Vince Russo comes in. Ooh, we saw how that ended up.
Oh yeah,
Scott Steiner about to not throw him around the place.
That's just a disaster. I'm sure that'll be something we talk about more later, but I think Bischoff, like we said, not a Hall of Fame booker. Hall of Fame talent on air, sure, that works. What did you think about RVD?
About time.
Yeah,
I mean, I think he should have been in at least 3 years ago. I mean, RVD, he was that one guy that could do things that a lot of other people couldn't. I mean, he could fly. Really, RVD was definitely, I mean, he was definitely an eye catcher for a lot of years. So he had a pretty crappy gimmick in WCW when he first came into business. But once he got to ECW and WWF, he was absolutely phenomenal as a worker. Promo, it was all right, but worker, oh yeah.
That one night stand versus John Cena. 2000 whatever it was. What year was that? Was that
05?
05? Yeah, that is one of the most memorable wrestling events, I think, of all time. I'm glad
Yeah.
that they are treating these ECW guys as WWE guys as well, to an
Mhm.
extent, because I agree he should have been in a long time ago. But the thing about Rob Van Dam is he's a guy who, there's plenty of these high fly guys who can move around great, but you believed it when he did it. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
wasn't like it was, I don't want to say fake, but it looked like there was an impact. A lot of these guys today, they can fly, but
Yeah.
it doesn't look good. He made it look good and believable and also told a great story.
Mhm.
That to me, when you look back at the history of ECW, he's the guy I'm going to remember the most.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I'm happy he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm
Mhm.
surprised they're not treating him more as a main, like, not main guy, but like your Hall of Fame class. Usually there's like, hey, it's this guy and this guy. And then it's kind of a few others, who are like,
Yeah.
whatever. I think it just seems like they're not treating him as the legend he is, maybe,
Mhm.
but we'll see. Do you know did they say who's inducting him? Do you know?
I didn't get a look at that. I think they're still getting all that set up. So
Yeah, I don't even know if they
on.
announced it yet, but this is the debatable one. I don't even know if it's debatable. Laughable would be the right word. Great Khali, Hall of Famer, yes or no?
Uh, Not yet.
I don't think so
That would
either.
be my thought. I don't. No. I think he needed to wait his turn, but he had some time before he go in. So
This seems like hey, we need a foreign person to go into the Hall of Fame.
yeah, that's how they classify. We need a tag team. We need a foreign person. You pal. We need a single. Who else can we get? We need someone that can talk. All
Mhm.
right, you go, pal.
I cannot wait for his Hall of Fame speech. I cannot wait. That is going to be so entertaining. I wonder how they're going to do it because I mean, I'm sure he's not going to speak, but I'm sure he will speak a little bit. He'll try.
Uh, yeah, I mean, he's probably going to have somebody, be a manager for him that night,
Yeah,
just to do all his talking for him. So, translator.
that'll be pretty entertaining though. I
Yeah.
when I heard he was going into the Hall of Fame, it was no disrespect to him, obviously, but it was kind of a, oh my gosh, we're just gonna do this. We're just gonna throw anybody in. It's whatever. Molly Holly, I mean, I don't care.
No, yeah, the woman category for who's going to go in as a woman. So
Yeah.
we got that as well. Let's see. You also got Kane and JBL going in. Kane is another story I'd say that took way too long. I think they've been pushing that back. I don't know why reason. I mean, this is something that should have been done, 2013.
Hmm.
JBL, okay, I'll give him that, but I think it'd be better if he'd have went in as Bradshaw. I like that was a much better gimmick than JBL. JBL, I mean, they got him at this, you know, tough talking businessman Texan from West Texas Sweetwater.
I never
But
liked
I'm
his
just like,
character.
but like when they went to the JBL character as this kind of businessman, I'm like, what? I mean, when he was Bradshaw, I mean, there you go. That was really good. I mean, especially when he was with him and Ron Simmons in APA. Oh my
That was
goodness,
gold.
that was
Gold.
yes. That's how JB. That's how John Layfield should have went into the Hall of Fame. Is I mean, him and Ron Simmons as APA. Boom.
Hmm. I
So
yeah, I mean, I like him. I do. The JBL character, I mean, like you said, I think with JBL, he's kind of interesting because he's one of these guys that has, to me, more go away heat than I don't like you
Mhm.
heat, which is the bad
Yeah.
kind of heat.
Mhm.
But because like when I first started, I was one of these clowns that was, John Cena. I was one of those idiots. But when you're young and that's just how it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Obviously, I respect John Cena for
Mhm.
everything he's done, but clearly now when you look back at it, he wasn't the legend of a wrestler, as he's
Mm.
portrayed to be. But
Mhm.
JBL, I think he did his thing. I mean, certainly he does belong in the Hall of Fame.
He,
The APA did go into the Hall of Fame a few years ago, right?
I believe so. Let me see here. What year did the APA go in?
I'm pretty sure either it was the APA or it was just Simmons, or maybe both. I don't
No,
even
yeah,
know.
no, they inducted somebody in 2016, but I don't think the APA has actually been into the Hall of Fame just yet. No.
I'm telling you, I remember
Yeah, no, they're
them.
they're not they're not in the Hall of Fame yet.
They're not. Huh.
Mm-mm.
Well, that's interesting because I would think that the APA would go in before he would. You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like DX. I mean, they went in. Well,
I think
actually,
the only
no.
reason why the, I think the only reason why they did DX to begin with just so they could get Sean Waltman. I think
Yeah.
that's the
Well,
only reason why they just so they could get X
uh,
Pac. That's the only.
yeah.
That's really. I feel like that's the only reason why they did DX to begin with. I mean, it
Have
was.
you
I mean,
seen?
Triple H and Sean were already in.
Oh my gosh. He does all of these conventions, right? It
Uh,
is the saddest thing. It's like Virgil. Virgil has no
yeah.
people. Xbox, he's always good with fans. Like
Mm.
every one of these interactions I've seen, I mean, he's always been nice, but I mean, it's just sad. He's always kind of like the extra guy. Like even when they did the
Yeah, he just.
DX reunions, it's like, "Oh, hey, yeah, you were here too." That's right.
Yeah, yeah. If we almost forgot about Sean, come on.
Yeah. But I mean, good for him though. I mean, he was a part of it, whatever.
Yeah.
Kane, I think I completely forgot about this. Um, I did a separate video on it. Glenn Jacobs, the man behind Kane, is one of the nicest guys, And I think as somebody who kind of, I don't want to say grew up, but um, I guess learned about Kane as a character after the fact. I think I appreciated it more because Kane was the first character that I was legitimately, first of all, believed, number one,
Hmm.
and second of all, was kind of scared of because you didn't know if Kane was a legitimate psychopath who just was burying his brother and burning, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
still, I still remember that one time on, I think it was SmackDown back in early 2000, and they were doing a backstage angle where Undertaker and Kane were pissed off, and they went to William Regal's office and started setting stuff on fire. Kane just
oh my
magically
God.
started setting things on fire. It was absolutely amazing.
But his character, I mean, you have a
Mhm.
guy in the Undertaker who
Right.
perfect. I mean, Vince McMahon, you know, we always talk, not maybe we, but wrestling fans always talk about, I can't wait till Vince is gone. He, you know, it'll be a sad day when he goes because he excuse me, he even though he inherited it from his dad, he took it from here to here. I mean, he
To the
had
next level,
things.
yeah.
So, and when you have a guy or a character like the Undertaker,
Hmm.
not anybody could pull that off. You know what I mean? That's Mark Calloway fit that role like a
Yeah,
glove.
absolutely.
And I think it's the same way with Kane. You had a guy who's, Isaac Yankem, a
Yeah,
dentist. I mean,
yeah. Vince gets this one from when he was in the dentist office one time. Like, All right, pal, you're gonna be Isaac Yankum. Yankum.
That's the best part about like looking back at like early wrestling, not early wrestling times, but some of these old gimmicks. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Isaac
Yeah,
Yankum.
93 to 95 wrestling. Oof.
When
No wonder why it was so bad.
So you go from Isaac Yankum and his other characters he's had along the
And
way.
Fake Diesel.
Fake Diesel.
Hey,
Yes.
Fake Diesel.
Yes. I forget where it was. I think it was Instagram. I saw a picture of Kane as Kane and Diesel, and it said, for the first time ever, like Diesel and Fake Diesel or something. I don't know. It was pretty funny. It doesn't make sense. But anyway, on Instagram, I don't know. I thought it was funny. It was one of those things I just, like a meme I saw, whatever. Anyway, so that character, I think, I talked about how he was believable, but I mean, the aspects of Kane, perfect. The attire, perfect, matched him great. The mask, the unmasking, that's like, I think one of my biggest wrestling memories till the day I die is going to be that Kane unmasking where, RVD was his partner and then mask comes off and he's got half of his hair and he looks crazy and choke slamming everybody. And then you have first of all, Slow Chemical, perfect theme song for him.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, it was well. I mean, it was absolutely just well crafted,
and it couldn't have been any better. I mean,
right?
That entrance he had where he came out with the cops and handcuffed with Bischoff,
Yeah,
perfect. But he absolutely deserves it, and he's a guy. If you watch the video of the Undertaker, Mark Calloway, telling him, "Hey,
right.
congratulations, you can tell he's somebody who appreciates everything. He's not one of these guys who's entitled, who gets handed everything. I mean, it's very rare in today's world where you have people like that who, and I'm happy for him because he could have been so overshadowed by the Undertaker, and obviously Undertaker will be probably remembered more by more people, but to wrestling fans, everybody knows Kane, everybody knows the character. So I'm happy for him. I really am. And it's a shame that people will hate on him just because he decided to run for mayor and has an R in front of his name. I mean, instead of saying, "Hey, this is a great guy who's done great things for the business," it's sad, but I think I'm happy for him. I really am.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, it was well deserved, very well deserved.
Well deserved. Who else is in the Hall of Fame? Is there anybody else?
Who else is going in this year? Let me pull up this roster.
I can't remember. I know
2021 WWE Hall of Fame. Let's see. Let's see. You got. I think is the NWO going in? Yeah.
weren't they already
NWO,
in?
and apparently not.
Really?
Because they're supposed to go in last year, but COVID I think screwed that up. So let's see. Molly Holly's going in. The great Khali is going in. William Shatner was announced as a class 11. No. Oh, in the hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah. So I think that was pretty much it. Pretty much. Let's see. Who else?
What'd you think of them canceling Batista for this year?
I don't know. As what I mean, he's worthy of it. I think he is.
They claim
I
it's
think.
a date contradiction between the movie.
Yeah, I think he's shooting a movie, and
You know, he blocked me on Instagram.
really,
Yeah.
Dave Batista blocked you.
Yeah. It's hilarious because,
Oh
I
man.
mean, obviously we won't get political because it is YouTube, but he's very obvious how he leans, you know, as the song goes to the left, to the left. Anyway, so he had said something, I forget what it was, but it was blatantly wrong. You know, it was common sense wrong. And I think it might have been, I don't know, but anyway, so it was very obvious that he was wrong. So I had just said, "Hey, you're wrong. Here's why. Here's the actual numbers." And instead of proving himself, saying, "Oh no, this is actually no," he just blocked me. So I was like, "Yeah, that's
Okay.
typical." But it is kind of crazy, you know. Somebody you grow up watching says,
Yeah.
"No, you're blocked." Whatever.
Yeah. Big man, but a lot of hot air in his head.
Yeah.
A lot of hot air.
Yeah, it's strange. What do you think about talking about the Hall of Fame? Triple H yet to be in the Hall of Fame as a singles competitor.
Did he piss off Stephanie in the bedroom or something? I mean, what happened?
Well,
This should have been done already. I mean, come on, he sniffed up the right crack. Really?
Do you think the reason why he's not in yet is because do you think he's done?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just more because maybe he's an executive or something, and they just don't want something. They just don't want, and plus, you know, he's part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
I think that has a lot to do with it. As the reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame yet.
Do you
It's
think
just,
they're
I mean,
waiting for
maybe.
a full crowd?
Uh, it's possible. I mean, there's many reasons why. I mean, why they could be waiting on it. Maybe just maybe they're waiting on maybe either Vince to retire, which I mean that's not going to happen anytime soon. Who knows?
I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's just I mean, Triple H should have already been in. So
Because DX is in,
yeah,
obviously. But
mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I think him as a you know, in his new role, it seems like he would be, you know, hey, I'm a Hall of Famer now, you know. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's I would guess it's coming soon, just like The Undertaker. I think the reason why they didn't do that this year is because of the fans. I think they're gonna wait,
Yeah.
but who knows? Who knows? So anything else you want to say on the Hall of Fame before we wrap up with that?
Nah, I think we pretty much covered all that as thoroughly as one could do it. I mean, especially since you're probably going to do it in the Thunderdome, anyways.
Yeah. Well, yeah, who knows? But so since this is episode 1, I figured we would just get this out of the way. AEW thoughts. What do you think about AEW as a company and how they've gotten things going?
My. Oh, they blew it. They blew it. They had
Well,
a chance.
they didn't
And now
blow it
the
on the Revolution night because I paid $50 to watch that pay-per-view and I watched sparklers. Yay.
yeah.
That's the big blow up.
Yeah, first, I mean, let's see. I mean, first you bring in Chris Jericho, and I'm like, ooh, okay, we got it. We might have a chance here, even though Chris Jericho's, I mean, fat and blowed up. But I mean, they're like, I mean, it's good. It had a chance, but then all of a sudden, you know, the booking and putting Cody's putting his best friends as executive vice presidents, and it's just like, what is this? And all of a sudden, the quality just goes downhill. And just even recently with Shaq,
Mm-hmm.
Shaq free TV for
Oh,
Shaquille O'Neal, and then they botched
how?
the ambulance.
How?
And then they botched the ambulance. How do you do that? I'm like, this could have been the biggest pay-per-view draw of the year.
Exactly.
And they blow it. And then they screw up the whole ambulance. They're like, we don't know. As Tony Schiavone's going back there, we don't know where do you, what? He was in there 2 seconds ago. The camera's still on him. Goodness.
Did you see?
Know. And then, let's not forget the ring failed to explode and set body parts everywhere. So, I mean, I think the only good match I've seen out of AEW was when they let Tully Blanchard wrestle for the first time in 30 years. I mean, you know, Tully looks old, but I mean, hey, he can still kind of get it.
When you got it, you got it.
And then they had JJ Dillon and Arn Anderson out there. I mean, with FTR, I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was I think that was the only good match. But like beyond that, you know, they could be really, really, really good, but they keep making these stupid mistakes because you got a 30-year-old guy that's got daddy's checkbook. Same thing that will happen in WCW, except it was some guy that padded his resume with a billionaire's checkbook and said this is somebody's kid with daddy's checkbook running the show, and he knows absolutely nothing. And now he's got a full wrestling program on Turner Television. So it's just and the talent they got. I mean, and they got partnerships with Impact and
New Japan.
New Japan. And like, I mean, I'm like, you are in a position to do something really, really, really good with this product, but you got morons running the show, and it is frustrating. AEW's like, is it really a hair puller? Oh man.
It just seems like they have maybe not no leadership, but Tony Khan is not, I mean, he's not the overseer. He's kind of a committee member. You know what I mean? They have him running things. Well, not even running things. Chris Jericho talks about all the time how it's the talent that chooses things. That's all well and good, but what happens if me and you are in a feud and I say I want to get over it? I'm not over.
Right.
And I do all these things and then I get over and I got the crowd, but then I can't go to the next level because I don't have any creative help. They're not going to put me in a championship match. You know, it just seems like they have the talent, and they do. I love Christian. I'm happy that he's over there.
Well, and then they didn't get Big Show. They kind of screwed up when they said we're bringing on a Hall of Fame level talent.
Oh my gosh!
And next thing you know, the Hall of Fame level talent is Christian. I mean, don't get me wrong. Christian's a great worker, decent promo, but Christian's mid card. You know, I mean, he was Intercontinental. It was an Intercontinental Championship title holder in WWE, and then he held the heavyweight championship, the NWA heavyweight championship in the TNA for a short run. I mean, he's decent, but I mean, Christian Christian just doesn't have that level of star power and charisma that you would expect from a really good Hall of Fame level talent.
Well,
So
and the problem is every time they do these, hey, we got a big announcement. Tune in. It's everybody's going CM Punk. Everybody's
yeah,
saying
they're
it's
waiting
going to
on
be
CM Punk. That's
yeah.
exactly what they're waiting on.
And
But
until he shows up somewhere, if he ever
mhm,
does, which I honestly, he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
yeah,
To me, I think for him to put a stamp on this whole thing and end this whole, is he going to show up? Where's he going to show up? I
mhm,
would like to see him at some point. I'm not saying he has to return long term.
right.
Show up in the Rumble. Get the
Mhm,
biggest pop of all time. It would be the biggest pop of all time.
yeah.
If you had a Royal Rumble in Chicago, Illinois, and
Mhm,
CM Punk comes out, I mean, like, you don't have to come back permanently. You can he could put out a message on Twitter saying, glad, glad that everybody has been wanting me back. This is my night to give it back to you. I'm returning for one night, come back.
mhm,
I think they need to do that, but the problem is, and I'm sure if Vince said, "Hey, pal, here you go," come back to the Rumble, maybe not be in the final four, but get a good spots in, get some of your legacy spots in, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And people would be thrilled because guess what? CM Punk was seen in a ring again. That's what
Mhm,
matters. So I think until that happens, AEW, TNA, New Japan, Ring of Honor, WWE, anytime they say there's a big announcement,
mhm,
it's not going to stop. And
yeah.
Christian, I mean, I think he is a Hall of Fame worthy, but then you got Tony Khan. We got the biggest signing of all time, and it's going to shake up the landscape of professional. What?
Yeah.
What? What am I missing?
Yeah. Well, I think Tony Khan's been spending too much time smoking Sleepy Joe G. I think that's what's been going on.
Jeez. I
No,
mean,
I think maybe not Sleepy Joe G. Maybe he's going straight. He's going straight for the acid. So
he just seems like a kid who can get any toy he wants.
yep.
I think Cornette said it.
Mhm.
He's got live action figures that he can play with.
Yeah. I
It's what
mean,
it is.
he's like what Cornette said, Dusty Rhodes. I mean, basically, you know how he basically got little action figures in a ring doing
Mhm.
planning out the matches and doing the finishes. I mean, but it's not actually doing it. It's more like a Spaceballs
Mhm.
movie.
And I like certain parts of AEW. I love Hangman Page. I have
Yeah.
always enjoyed his stuff. I think there's times where he like the Matt Hardy match at Revolution. I had really high expectations for. I thought it
Mhm.
underwhelmed, especially at the beginning. It was pretty slow, but
Yeah.
then it got better. And to me, he's a guy who is just a star that you're waiting to release. And if
Mhm.
they just let him get to the next level, they can build a star of their own.
Yeah.
But until they do that, you're going to have the same guys: Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes,
Mhm.
John Moxley, Dean Ambrose, John Moxley.
Yeah.
You're going to have these same guys: Chris Jericho, the MJFs of the world, who, I mean, makes heels of the old days back when it was actually good seem
Mhm.
like hope again. Like there's actually hope for another good real heel.
Yeah.
But they just don't let these guys get to the next level. But I mean, the problem is what they're going to run into is the WCW of, hey, we're going to go get all the WWF guys and just slot them in. That's not how it
That's where they're heading.
works.
Yeah.
You can't do that with everything.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to pull more WWF guys instead of making their own talent.
And they
they're not
have the
raising their own
ability
talent.
to. They
Yeah.
have the people. But who knows? Kyle Duffield's a guy who's always in my comment section who loves AEW.
Uh-huh.
you know, you're allowed to like what you want. I don't care. But I mean, I enjoy a lot, and I also hate a lot of AEW.
Yeah.
It's off and on, and WWE's problem is it's way more off and on. It's every month maybe there's a good match.
Yeah.
At least AEW, it's like once a show, there's at least something. But
Something
it's
decent.
yeah, it's who knows. I think as time goes on, I think once they get crowds back, it'll be interesting to see. Because I think AEW is such a crowd show, you know, where WWE is more of TV and theater, and
Yeah.
AEW is the more sports side, you know. But I could be wrong.
I haven't heard a thing where even Jim Cornette came out and said, if you even had Vince Russo booking one of these shows now, he might actually do a better job. I'm like, I mean, when you said what if Cornette said that, that's kind of your barometer as just how bad the quality of product is these days.
Well, it's the 50 billion kidnappings. How many angles of kidnappings are you gonna do? I mean,
and it's either that or somebody's getting slung through a table 90 feet from the air, dropped out of a helicopter right onto a table. Boom.
Well, and like you said with Shaq, I thought Shaq actually did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good athlete. He's my personal favorite basketball player of all time.
Same.
But I think he's so charismatic that he can pull it off.
Yeah.
You put Cody Rhodes, who is the Triple H of AEW essentially, with Shaq. And instead of one-on-one, you put them in a mixed tag match. Right. Now the two females they had, fantastic. I actually enjoyed their side of the match more than Cody and Shaq, honestly. But from a story standpoint, please tell me why I care about those two and not just Shaq and Cody. You're just throwing people into rivalries that don't need to be there.
Yeah, I mean, well, they all in the same match they had one girl that was really good, and then I think was it Jane Cargill?
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
she looks great. She looks like a superstar. But
yeah, and then they had I forgot who the other girl was. That was first time wrestling on television.
Yeah, Velvet Sky. I think.
Yeah, Velvet Sky. Yeah, and she, like 30% of her of her like match when they were doing the whole match was just her flexing and showing off instead of actually doing work. So,
but it seemed like they had choreographed most of it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it looked as good as it did. I think if you went out there and said, "Hey, call a match," I don't think it probably looked really sloppy. But
yeah,
I mean, for her first time on TV, compared to a lot of the things you see on WWE programming, I mean, it wasn't bad. But I think AEW's got a lot of potential, but it just depends on what they want to do. You know who I'm waiting for in AEW?
Who's that?
Jeff Hardy. He's next.
Make the Hardy brothers go full circle.
He's
yeah,
next.
maybe he'll help Matt stop doing teleportation, Star Trek transporter type stuff.
They just had Jeff lose. The Miz. They had Jeff lose to the Miz. So you go from having the Miz be the champion. You want people to take him seriously, or at least as a champion represent.
Right.
And then you make him essentially a comedy. I mean, he's wrestling a rapper. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so you go from there, and you have him face Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is a legend. He should be treated like a legend.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be on TV every week. And you have him lose. Bad, by the way. Wasn't even a good match. Jeff
Yeah,
needs
I
to
mean,
get out of there.
they made him some old school job guy. It's like beat him in the first 30 seconds, throw him out of the ring. Well, come on.
It's just sad, and it sucks because now that Matt's gone, it's like he's by himself. They have no story for him. They have no direction. He's there to put guys over, and not even guys who need to be put over. He
Yeah, and
needs
he's
to
better
jump
than that.
ship.
Yeah.
Well, and I think his style fits AEW more,
Absolutely.
and they love the tag team. They have 50 billion tag team matches on every show. Why not put the brothers back together?
Absolutely.
It seems perfect. So, yeah. So what else was on our list here to talk about? I know we've been going.
I think we're going to talk about it. We were watching some of Cornette's cameos.
Oh my god.
We were
These cameos.
Oh, James E. Cornette. He just called somebody a fat slob and tell him you need to lose weight, and then he's like, "All right, here we go." And then,
oh my gosh, the one I sent you about.
Yes,
he said, my friend's vegan, but he's still fat. Cornette goes, "What's the point of being vegan if you're gonna be fat? Just eat the meat anyway." Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Rolling. How much does he charge for cameos?
I don't know. I think I heard him mention once he was charging like $250 maybe for a cameo.
Let me look it up. I have the app. Let me see.
Let's see.
Cameo. I know he stopped taking orders because he got so many.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Sting is how much do you think a Sting cameo costs?
I think Sting was somewhere in the 400 range.
$600.
That'll hurt your bank account.
Cornette's unavailable right now. Dang.
Of course.
What was he going for? Gosh, I wish they had it listed. But yeah, his cameos. If you have somebody that you don't like, that's a perfect person to do a cameo for you.
Right.
But oh my gosh, I don't know. What do you think about him? Did you see the controversy between him and Rusev, who's now Miro in AEW?
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
I mean, let's. Didn't Rusev do like some porn scene or something, and Rick Cornette was just grilling him over it? I mean, that's
I have no clue. I didn't hear that.
Yeah,
that might be new information.
No, but no, Cornette's just like, to him is like Desperate Housewives or something like that. The Bachelor. I don't know. It's I mean, he makes him look. I don't. There's no telling. I mean, Cornette's mood changes like the wind.
Some days it's funny because some days it's great, and then other days it's like, oh my gosh, Jim.
Hey, you can't go wrong. I mean, he can cut a promo.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's one skill that once you got it.
Oh yeah.
You got it. But so yeah, anything else you want to say before we wrap up here?
No, I think we've got everything.
I think we hit everything.
Out of the T's.
Yeah. I don't know how much time we've gone. I hope Zoom. Last time I did, because I did a podcast with some other guys talking about football, and Zoom cut it off. So hopefully this
the red light's still on, so we're looking pretty good right now.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully. But anyway, for episode 1, I think we covered solid ground. I think everybody kind of knows our general thoughts.
Absolutely.
Where we stand. So we'll be doing this. I don't know when we'll do the next one because our next one will be WrestleMania predictions,
Right.
and WrestleMania is in 2 weeks. So, well, and now they have it 2 nights,
Mhm.
so that'll be even longer.
Only
But
thing we could probably do a review of the next AEW and SmackDown show and see how bad it goes. See who
yeah,
gets slammed through the table next.
yeah. So my guess is for now, I know eventually we plan on doing probably every Tuesday and
Absolutely.
maybe Saturdays or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
But for now, our next one, you can expect same thing, review on the same crap garbage they're giving us every week heading into WrestleMania. But anyway, hope y'all enjoyed. And you got any social media you want to plug?
Yeah. Follow me on Instagram at Cole Dodson1701 and feel free to hit me up anytime.
So let us know your thoughts. Obviously, you can follow me at DF Sports, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Well, actually, no, Twitter's, I don't know why. Twitter, I signed up and I put my name under as DF Sports and it said DF Sports 4. It's like, I didn't do that. So now everybody's
Probably
like,
the algorithm messing with
yeah,
you
I don't
again.
know. I don't know. It is what it is. But anyway, so let us know what you guys think. I know this is probably a little bit of a longer episode. I'm interested to see how episode 1 does. So I think
Absolutely.
we'll grow quite the audience here. So appreciate you guys for watching, and we will see you in the next one.